Was I wearing the same shirt last time? That'd be so funny. No, it's a different shirt. Different shirt. Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to Salty B Talks About History. History with Salty B. That's better. Another episode of me just talking about history. I've got a little bit of a haul here. I did a big haul. Posters, like I did a big haul last time. Nothing too crazy. Maybe one book that's kind of crazy in this episode. But since we last talked, I've become a regular at my local bookstore. I'm going there probably bi-weekly, and just an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours even one time, just walking around, looking at books, picking stuff up, flipping through them, finding all sorts of random stuff, old books. I mean, I'm going through a lot of history sections, so it is a lot of old stuff. And yeah, a lot of books are pretty cheap. I've found some bangers, $10 bangers, as I called them in the last episode. So I got I think 3 $10 bangers in this episode, as well as a Christmas present that's for my mom. And I know she's not going to watch, so I'm going to show you. And then a $75 really nice book that comes with a little story. So let's get into it, and we'll see. I'll talk how long I want to, and but I might debut a new segment, part of History with Salty B, periods in European history that I find interesting. Catchy, I know. Just a way for me to talk about some of the specific periods in specifically European history that I've learned about, because I'm not an expert by any means, but I've read like a book or two or three or four about certain periods. Just looking at my wall of charts right away, the Julio-Claudian Roman emperors, the 5 good emperors, the kind of split between West and East, then the actual kind of Byzantine Empire with like Justinian and stuff. That's all just from Roman emperors. Then Charlemagne, the Romanovs, the Stuarts, the Plantagenets, the Hanoverians. That's all not the Romanovs. That's Russia, but that's all from England and Scotland and stuff. Then the Holy Roman Empire, all the way from like Charles V, Maria Theresa, Franz Joseph, like all those kind of periods. Spanish Habsburgs, and then of course the end of the line of the House of Capet in France, and the ascension of the House of Valois, which is just a junior branch of the House of Capet. All those periods, just off the top of my head, I could probably talk about each of those for like 10 minutes at least. So yeah, I think maybe I'll debut this series, this segment on this episode, but we could do, my next episode could just be like a 50-minute episode. This is like 10 minutes and 5 periods in history. Just talk about each one for 10 minutes. Maybe we'll do one today. I don't know which one. Maybe I'll just see what I'm feeling. As for the haul, let's start small. Actually, no, but let's start with the book I got my mom for Christmas. My mom is really happy that I'm learning about specifically English history, British history, because she's from England. She's from Devon in southern England. And, she learned about 1066, all that kind of stuff growing up. And she really likes, she loved Elizabeth II. When the Queen died, it was really hard on her. She was like, damn, like even her parents only ever knew Queen Elizabeth as the Queen, which is like, that's crazy. So I was going to get her a book about Queen Elizabeth, and then I was like, you know what? She knows enough about Queen Elizabeth. I think she knows less about the original, well, not the original, that would be Elizabeth I, the kind of last queen that was queen of a generation, and that is Victoria, of course. So I'll just say it over here because the box is right here, so you'll be able to hear me better. So yeah, Victoria the Queen by Julia Baird. And I just saw this cover when I decided, like, yeah, I'm going to get her a book on Victoria, not Elizabeth II. And then I saw this cover. It's kind of dark, but and I was like, oh, that's something a mom would read. It's got like young Victoria on it. It's it's like red and black. It's very like sensual. So I think it's gonna be a good book. I think she'll like it a lot. I read a different book. I'll go to the pictures in the middle here. I read a different book about Victoria. Look at her. She's look at that little bead. I read a different book about Queen Victoria, by I think it's A.H. Wilson, something like that. It was pretty good. I liked it, and this is a different one. Oh, that's a classic. Fuck, where is it? There we go. Sorry, it's backwards. Where's the classic? Her and Albert, power couple, by the way. Victoria and Albert. If I was born in the Victorian era, I would have totally gone as Albert for Halloween. I don't know if they did Halloween. It was Halloween yesterday, so that's why I just thought of that. But great. I bet if Halloween was going on in like 1870, I know couples were going as Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. That would have been fire. I'm trying to find this one specific picture, like the picture of them. Maybe I passed it. Hold on. Is it not in here? Or do they have it later? They better not miss that picture. Man, I guess it's not in here. I guess I'll have to put it in. That's crazy. It's the one of like their family. That's like so iconic. So there we go. That's what I'm gonna get my mom for Christmas. Hope she likes it. The next one, this is a $10 banger. We've got Rise and Fall. This is a history of the world in 10 empires. Rise and Fall by Paul Strathern. Yeah, not a long book. The audiobook for it is like 4 hours or something. I know because I looked, but I do want to read this. Like, this is a book. If I had a washroom, this is the book I'd put by the toilet type shit. Next up, I have a DK Donkey Kong book on Europe, like just Europe, and it has a bunch of European history in it, and it's really fun. I really like it, and that one actually is by my bed, and I've read it like a handful of times when me and Sophie are just like falling asleep, and she reads a book, and I open it up, but I haven't done it much recently. This is just world history, so now I've got Europe, and then I've got world history. And yeah, it's just, I mean, if you know what these books are, I feel like everyone's seen these before. It's just lots of pictures. Oh. Lots of pictures. Well, I mean, fuck, it's world history. It's gonna happen. Oh, there's the first Elizabeth. Nice. But yeah, very, very beautiful, and just like a nice read. A nice just like flip through, and there's not much text, and you see, it's really fun. It's the kind of book, like, this is like a world history textbook for like a kid, you know. Next up, we have the book that everyone grabs and looks for their birthday. We've got the book of This Day in History. So it just has every day. So February 5th. Imagine your birthday is February 5th. Let's see. February 5th, 1901, the year that Queen Victoria died, and 100 years before your boy was born, the modern roller coaster is born. Ed Prescott opened the Loop. The Loop... wait, is that a typo? Did I find a typo? It says Ed Prescott opened the Loop Centrifugal Railroad on Coney Island. Oh, there we go. Let's go to my birthday. Why not? I have already read the ones for my birthday. August 14th. And on August 14th, what went on? 1678, William of Orange surprises the French army near Mons. The French were able to quickly regroup and counterattack. However, William's forces lost several thousand soldiers, and they were forced to retreat. Wow. That's crazy. Also on my birthday, 1936, the United States defeats Canada in the first basketball competition to take place at the Olympic Games. The U.S. won the game 19-8. That's tough. Well, we've come a long way. So that's This Day in History. And now, finally, $10 banger, by the way. Finally, this one, this is crazy. So this is a $75 book, and I went in, and every 2 weeks I would go in and look at this and just be like, oh my god, this is so nice. Like, I need this. And I actually even, like, I put it on my Christmas list. I sent a picture of it to my mom, and then I was like, you know what? Christmas is in 2 months. Like, let me buy this shit. So, by Lawrence James. Here it is. And you're not even ready for it, viewers. By Lawrence James. Look at the rise and fall of the British Empire. Like, come on. I needed this shit. And look at that. Like, it's detailed. It's fucking detailed. There we go. Okay. So, yeah. Rise and fall of the British Empire. We got Britannia up here with their lion. Kangaroo over here, obviously, to represent Australia. Malaysia, India, of course. The jewel in the crown. All of Africa. British Guiana. And then Canada represent. Got the bear over here to represent Canada. Then I guess it kind of shows like the timeline. Like here's the I don't know, fellas navigating, and then soldier. They had lots of those, and then kind of like the ships, right, going from like 1500s to 1900s. And then I believe we have Queen Victoria and Prince Albert here, and they are raising the Union flag. A jaguar to represent Africa, a elephant to represent India. So it's kind of the animals are like the all four. Yeah, it's crazy. Like this book is crazy. And then other side we got Britannia. It's lots of naval stuff. Obviously we got anchors, and this is it's a crown, hand shake emoji, and anchors ruling the waves and all. Rise and fall, British Empire, Lawrence James. And then I don't know what this is supposed to be. Yeah, like it's a man and a woman shaking hands with the flag, and like I guess it's just supposed to be foreign person and British person. This is like I'm like, is this racist? I guess it's history, right? So yeah. And then cornucopia. So this was $75, and like I don't know, I thought about it, and I was like, I have this. I brought this over. I've got The History of the English-Speaking People by Winston Churchill, all 4 volumes. And I found more versions of this in the bookstore, like 4 versions of this, and they are not this nice. Like, they are not nice like this. They were not kept in a warehouse for the last 75 years, like mine were. And they were the same price, which is wild. But I have that, and as I don't know, my mom's from England. Obviously, I'm from Canada. My mom's from England. Like the British Empire. Like that's, I'm coming down from that, right? It doesn't exist anymore. It has not existed since I've been alive. But yeah, like I'm part of this in some capacity. Just like how I'm a part of A History of the English-Speaking Peoples, which actually does also, what do you think what am I speaking? Facts and English. So I just thought, yeah, I need to have this. Like this is, I'm picturing when I'm a dad one day and your boy's got the study and the office and then the bookshelf behind him, right? And this is something that's in your dad's fucking like study. This is in his library, personal library. So very excited to read this. Probably won't do it for a while, but I did read like the first, like the introduction, kind of the preface and stuff. So yeah, beautiful book. Really, really hype about that. And I think it goes until 19. Yes. So the opening cover shows the British Empire in 1713. So obviously it's pretty much just the UK and then the eastern United States, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and Hudson's Bay Company, which just went bankrupt, by the way. That's history. Hudson's Bay Company going bankrupt, that is like, it's literally like Hudson's Bay Company. It's crazy. And then it goes all the way to 1930. And there we go. Sun's not setting on that shit. So, personally, I would say the British Empire, like, it didn't end at a date, right? Like, it wasn't like, boom, empire's done. But I would say 1947 is when India got independence. And that would probably be I don't know, the start of the fade out, right? Like the British Empire starts fading out when they lose India in 1947, because then all the way through the 50s, pretty much all of Africa gets its independence. Areas in Oceania in the 60s and stuff, and Queen Elizabeth II. I mean, she was the kind of face of the end of the empire. If Queen Victoria was the start of the empire, Queen Elizabeth was the end, because she was the sovereign on the throne when the majority of British Empire was getting, if not all British Empire was getting its independence. I guess India was 5 years before her time, but yeah. So very excited to read this. I think it might even have information going all the way up to like the 90s, I think. Yeah. It goes all the way up into the 80s. Yeah, not a ton, but part 5 is the setting sun. Very fitting. Oh, I didn't even mention that. Yeah, of course, it's got a big setting sun here to represent the sun never setting, I guess. Like, I get it. Also, fun history fact: the British, of course they did. They stole that saying, the empire on which the sun never sets. The Spanish had that first. The Spanish had all of the Americas and the Philippines. So the Spanish Empire, it was like Spain, Portugal as well. Then everywhere from even British Columbia. British Columbia was part of the Spanish Empire. British Columbia all the way to Chile. That was Spanish Empire. Then Spain, and then the Philippines as well. So that was an empire which the sun never set, right? If you didn't have the Philippines, I don't think that'd be true. But no, they had an empire which the sun didn't set. And that, as far as I've learned it, like, they said that, like, that was a saying. And then the British took it. Imagine that. The British taking something that isn't theirs? What? Are you serious? That is, no, okay, never mind. That fits. So yeah, very excited about that. So that's my haul recently, and yeah, I'm really excited about this because one, I talked about doing a periods in history I find interesting, periods in European history I find interesting, as a segment. Another segment I was thinking about doing is talking about, like, I don't know. I don't want to call it like an empire ranking, because that feels kind of like, I don't know, feels weird. Like, rank empire, like empires. I get why they called it the Age of Empires. That's obviously a video game now, but there was an Age of Empires, probably from, I don't know, I'd say like 16th century to 20th century, right? Like, that's the Age of Empires. And there's really only one empire left, I feel like. And I'll give you a second to guess it. What do you guys think is the last empire? Because I think it's the United States of America. Like, I think that is the definition of an empire. It's the leading world power. It's got all these overseas territories. If you don't think the U.S. is a empire, why is Hawaii a state? Like, Hawaii being a state, that's empire shit. So I really think that the U.S. is the last empire right now. And will there be another one? I don't know, because where we are with world power is, like, the whole name of the game is keeping everybody even, right? You don't let any one nation get too powerful. That's kind of everything to do with World War I. World War II is like, oh, we have to all be even. In the 1800s, like late 1800s, there was talk of doing like a League of Nations, right? And this would eventually happen, but there's talk of doing like a European League, a League of Nations that was made to make like 12, 15 even countries, relatively even. Of course, there'd still be like some that are more powerful than others, but to stop war, right? And if all of them are, this is how we do it nowadays, right? If everyone was in an alliance, if one person tried to take over somebody else, they would all go against them. And that's kind of what Napoleon did, right? Napoleon was so good that everyone had to team up against them. And then they kind of realized, like, oh, why don't we just do that more? And then World War II happened because they split, right? World War I and World War II because they split in half. And then when there is a little fighting, well, now everyone's against each other. Nowadays, they're going back to that Napoleon model where it's like, nope, we're all in alliance. And if somebody gets unaligned, like, don't attack Ukraine because, no, guess it didn't work. That being said, I've got all these books. Why don't I talk about the books that I've read? Let's do that. And then I will do a segment of periods in European history that I find interesting. So, books I've read. Can I just go to audiobooks? So, since I last talked to you guys, I believe I was reading The Habsburgs by Martin Rady. Okay, so right now I've been reading Europe by Norman Davis. I've seen it, Europe, a history, Europe, or just Europe, by Norman Davies. Norman Davies. And this book's great. It is the book I was looking for when I was reading all these, like, you know, English history, Austrian history, French history. I wanted a book that was just everything. I wanted a book where it's all the kings and queens and the whole history of everything, and it's all tied into one. So Europe by Norman Davies gave me that because it goes from prehistory all the way to the end of the Cold War. And I'll be honest, I skipped the chapter on prehistory because the book is split into 11 parts. Each part is... the introduction is about history today. Also skipped that. Like, I think I listened to the first hour, and I was like, all right, I get it. So there's 12 sections. By size, it is 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, 3.5, 4, 5, 4.5, 6, 5.5, 4.5, 5.5, 8.5. That's World War I and II. 4.5. Those are so huge sections. That's like I can't really skip through because on Audible, right? Like I just have that. So I just have each section. So I skipped the first two. I skipped History Today and I skipped Peninsula, Environment and Prehistory. It's like I don't want to know about fucking caveman, dude. I'm here for the kings and the queens and shit. So I started with chapter 2, Ancient Greece. Then it's Rome. Then Birth of Europe, which is 1300 to 1800, so that's kind of fall of the Western Roman Empire to Charlemagne. Then the Middle Ages, 750 to 1270. So that is the Middle Ages. Then Christendom in Crisis, which is 1200 to 1400. Then the Renaissance. Then the Enlightenment. Then the Age of Revolution. Then post I call it like the long peace. I don't know if you can call it that. I call it the long peace, which is 1850 to 1940, which is the 99 years of no major powers. There's still wars, but there's no major battles. Major powers fighting against each other from the defeat of Napoleon and the Battle of Waterloo, the end of the Congress of Vienna, to the beginning of World War I. So if we look here, so that would be, so there's Napoleonic War. You can see the darker line, that's the war. So this period, all of that. And you can see, like, there's a war, 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 there's a war. That's all wars. So this was unprecedented, right? And then we got World War I, World War II. And now we're in another long peace. We haven't had anything happen since... Well, we got a ways to go. We're not at 99 years yet. We got to get to 1944 or 2044. So we're getting there. Couple decades. So yeah, I've been reading this, and I will say the middle of this book is cooking. Like when they get into the Middle Ages all the way to Napoleon, it's really satisfying. It was scratching the part of my brain where it's just like it'll do, like, you know, at least for audio, it'd be like 5 minutes on England, 5 minutes on France, 5 minutes on Spain, but it's very interconnected. And then each section, so in the Renaissance, 6 hours. The final hour is probably not actually part of the story, and it's just talking about other stuff that he couldn't fit into the main kind of flow of stuff, right? So in the 6 hours, it'll start at 1450 and go to 1670. So that's a lot of time. Each page is like a year, pretty much, right? And it's flowing. And then it'll stop with about an hour left in the chapter. And then it just goes through like, okay, this is like the inventions of the time. Here's what music was doing. Here are like the great people that maybe didn't get mentioned in the main flow of things. So I like that too, because that's kind of like a break. But sometimes I'm like, all right, like enough about, this string quartet that was made in the Renaissance. Like, get back into the good shit, right? Like, because it is a lot of music stuff, actually. Because I feel like Davies just couldn't like fit all the music stuff into the Europe flow of the story, so that he just put it all kind of at the end of each chapter. So it's a lot of music stuff. So Sophie's gonna hate it when I say. Should be bashing music. No, I've actually learned a lot more about musical stuff, or just kind of getting my brain around like timelines of music. And so yeah, Europe by Norman Davies, fantastic, huge book. I'm kind of falling off it now that I've gotten to World War One, because I've read books on World War One. So it's like now I'm kind of like I really enjoyed the middle section of this book. That's what I'm saying. From like the year 500 to 1850, like it was really good. And now we're getting to more modern stuff. The really old stuff, the really modern stuff, I just have less interest in. That's not his fault. The next book, by the way, that I'm going to read is The Romanovs by Simon Sebag Montefiore. It is a book about the 304 years of Romanov rule in Russia, and I'm really excited for it, because if you look at I'll take a picture. Where is it? There it is. Oh God. All right, there we go. That picture will be in, boom, right there. So if you look at the Romanov family tree, actually, sorry, I'm gonna look. If you look at the Romanov family tree, it's crazy. Like, it gets crazy. After Peter the Great, you can see Peter the Great was co-ruler with Ivan V. And then after that, it goes to his wife. So not even a Romanov, like just his wife. It goes to his wife for 2 years. She dies. Then it goes to his son by his other wife for 3 years. Then he dies. Then it goes all the way over to Ivan, so Peter the Great's brother, his daughter. And it's with her for 10 years. Then to her great nephew for 1 year. Then all the way back to Peter the Great and Catherine the First, who are both emperor and empresses. Then it goes to her, Elizabeth, for 20 years. Then it goes to Peter, her son, for 1 year. And then it goes to his wife, Catherine the Great. So from great to great, from Peter the Great to Catherine the Great, it's 37 years. And it's just a mess. Like, what was going on? So I'm really interested to find out about that period of history and about the Romanovs, because there was only 3 rulers before Peter the Great, and then there was only 6 after Catherine the Great, and of course the last one was Tsar Nicholas II, who was killed during the Bolshevik Revolution, right? So yeah, there's only like 7 generations outside of that crazy 37 years. So yeah, I'm excited to learn about that. And reading Norman Davies is what got me to want to read that, because during one just like little passage in it, he's like, oh yeah, and then what, like, he goes through this period of history in just kind of one short little period. He's like, yeah, one was assassinated and another was killed this way, and then another one died and was probably poisoned. Like, he just like makes it sound really interesting. So very excited for that. So that is what I'm going to read next. I also, if you know Edward Gibbon, one of the greatest historians of all time, his biggest thing was the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Probably one of, if not the greatest, like, history series. It's 6 volumes, I think. And thank you, Audible, because there is a 1 hour, sorry, slightly longer than that, 126 hour completed abridged version of it on Audible. I'm going to listen to it on probably like 1.7 speed, and it will be 80 hours or something like that, 75 hours. So I will read that because it goes all the way from like the peak of Roman civilization, which is like the good emperors and stuff. It's all the way up there. It goes from the peak of Roman civilization all the way to like the year 1500 or something, which is like Ivan the Terrible. So that's like right before the House of Romanov. So it's just a huge series, and it's enormous. And I was able to get it for $7. I didn't even use a credit. I was able to get it for $7 on Audible, complete thing, and that's just like a dream. So super excited to read that. Then what else? I'm gonna read The English and Their History by Robert Tomes. I haven't started that. Still got that. I definitely want to read it. And what else? I've got, so these I all got for free. They're just with my subscription. So I haven't read them or anything, but War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, which is one of the most famous books. Metropolis by Ben Wilson. That's more about like the growth of like cities. And then Napoleon by Adam Zamoyski. Those are all books that I have and I would like to read. As for other books I'm looking at, World War II by Winston Churchill, like all of Winston Churchill's, it's like 6 books I think on World War II. That's how I want to read World War II, is from my boy Winston, because I like his shit. I like what he's cooking. What else? We have, let me just go through my wish list really quick. Istanbul, A Tale of Three Cities. The Templars by Dan Jones. The Hollow Crown by Dan Jones. That's about the War of the Roses, which I already know a lot about, but I do want to read a book that's just about the Wars of the Roses. The Ottomans by Mark David Baer. The Bad Popes by E.R. Chamberlain. That interests me. I was like, ooh, bad popes. Popes gone bad? Like, George III by Andrew Roberts. The Crusade by Thomas Asbridge. A Concise History of France by Robert Price. I haven't read a book or that's like all of France, you know? Like I want to go top to bottom, all of France. And I haven't had a book that's like that yet. I've learned a lot about the Napoleonic era, obviously, the French Revolution, which is in that. And then the Accursed King series focuses on the fall of the House of Capet and the ascension of the Valois, which is also the end of the Templars, funnily enough. So that is 1314 to 1328 period. So I know a lot about those periods of French history, but and then Louis XIV, of course. I mean, duh. I know about Louis. I know my boy Louis, like duh. Vienna, 1814, which is a book about the Congress of Vienna. The Congress of Vienna might be, if we're talking about periods of European history I find interesting, the Congress of Vienna might be one of my most thought about things in history, is that Congress of Vienna, because like I said earlier, it set up 99 years of peace, and it changed the map, right? Like it made the map of Europe. It's kind of small, but here's what Europe looked like when it was controlled by a lot of blue. That's Napoleon, a lot of blue, and then after that, it kind of separated into Austrian-Hungarian Empire, German Empire. Italy was not too far away, and kind of the map of Europe really changed. And it started from the Congress of Vienna, and just the idea of all these guys in this room, like figuring out what Europe was going to look like, you know, that's really interesting to me. So I want to read a book that's like just about the Congress. And I was even thinking, like, as a writer, like I do want to write something history related, like it's in my head, obviously, and I've got a few ideas that I can say, but one of them I was like, yeah, like I'd love like writing a book about the Congress of Vienna where like it starts from the POV of Napoleon with Tsar Alexander the First coming, or is it? Yeah, Tsar Alexander the First coming in, like, you know, capturing him in Paris, and that's like the prologue, and then it's like all in Austria and stuff. That'd be kind of cool. Claudius the God and I, Claudius, the two books about Claudius that are from his point of view and about the Julio-Claudian dynasty. Do want to read those because those are also classics by Robert Graves. Do really want to read those. But I've read enough on the Julio-Claudians, Mary Beard's books, Tom Holland's books. I'm good for a little while, but definitely do want to read those too. Then we've got Louis XIV, Emperor, which is about Charles V, Henry V. Those are all just kind of like famous kings or emperors that I do want to learn more about. Empire by Niall Ferguson. Is this? I think this. Yeah, British Empire. Yeah, it's a British Empire book. Probably don't have to. I think I'm good. I don't think I need that one. How long is it? Because if it's 15 hours, yeah, let's take this off the wish list. I'm good. Iron Kingdom by Christopher Clark, which is about Prussia. Prussia is fucking interesting. If you look here, I love having this. If you look here, Prussia doesn't even exist, and then it breaks away. Treaty of Krakow comes down. Here's where Brandenburg, Prussia. So Brandenburg was a territory in the Holy Roman Empire, specifically up here. If you could see that, that's main Germany, and then that's think like Berlin. Think Berlin, northeast Germany. That's Prussia. Or that was Brandenburg, and then it became Prussia. So Prussia becomes a kingdom. Elector of Brandenburg inherits Prussia right there, comes down, and then here during the War of Spanish Succession is where it gets bigger. It becomes the Kingdom of Prussia, right? So that's where he becomes king. And then down here, is where it becomes the German Empire, and that's because of the unification with the Kingdom of Hanover, the Kingdom of Bavaria, and the Kingdom of Saxony, which were all part of the Holy Roman Empire and all Habsburg territories. So they become their own kingdoms during the Napoleonic Wars. Then they get united with Germany, or united with Prussia over a period in the late 1800s, kind of mid to late 1800s. And that makes the German Empire. We got Otto von Bismarck and Emperor Wilhelm I, and then Albert Einstein right there. Look at that. And then obviously that goes into, that's German unification, and then that turns into the Nazis not too long later, and the break and the unification of Germany. So yeah, Prussia. The rise and downfall of Prussia, 1600 to 1947. So 1600, which would be right here. So yeah, 1600, so that is where the Elector of Brandenburg inherits. Kind of right before that, and then to the end of World War One, or World War Two. So that's all. That's from here all the way to here. So that's a lot, and I want to know about that. So that's definitely one of my more sought after books. Then I've got A History of the 20th Century, which I bought because this goes from Europe being, or Britain being a Roman province here, all the way to 1901, the end of the Victorian era. So I was like, well, now I got to know about the 20th century to get to where I was born, right? I'm missing 100 years here. So I just looked up A History of the 20th Century, and there's a book by Martin Gilbert. The truth is, I don't need to read about World War I and II again. I'm good. I read a book. I removed it. I read The First World War. I don't know who by, but I read this huge book about the First World War. Next, 12 Caesars. Actually, sorry, last 12 Caesars by Suetonius, which is about the first 12 emperors of Rome. Maybe it starts with Julius Caesar, who wasn't an emperor. 1, 2, 3, 4, so it'd be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's probably from Julius Caesar to uh, the end. Hold on. Oh wait, my pants aren't done up. Almost just flashed you guys. All right, here we go. Going up. Yeah, Domitian. Domitian. It's probably from Julius Caesar to Domitian, who was that's when the he was emperor when the Colosseum was built, or maybe it was his brother. It was during that era though. Okay, so that is my haul and what I've been reading and what I'm going to read. And let's get into let's get into periods in European history that I find interesting. Part 1, section 1. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Julio-Claudian dynasty. Let me just pull up the picture of my Roman Empire family tree here so I can zoom into it. I know it's right up there, but this makes it easier on me. That was my flashlight. Let's go like this. Okay. So, yeah, I've read a few books on the Julio-Claudians, and it's such classic Rome, right? So basically, Julius Caesar, Pompey the Great, they have a triumvirate, and you know how it goes. Julius Caesar gets killed, right? He gets assassinated, Ides of March and all that shit. From there, his nephew, who he adopts, is Augustus. And it's actually his great-nephew, I think. His great-nephew, yeah. His great-nephew he adopts, and that is Octavian. Octavian goes out, kills Mark Antony and Cleopatra by them killing themselves. He wins, and he comes back to Rome and then goes through a process of becoming emperor. And from there, he takes the name Augustus, which basically translates to revered one. And he is not emperor. He is, I've heard it pronounced a few different ways. Princeps, I think is how I like to say it. I've heard princeps as well. He's princeps, which basically just means he's first among equals. Because everyone's supposed to be equal in the Roman Empire, right? Even though they have slaves and stuff, everyone's supposed to be equal. So, maybe not everyone, but you know what I mean. Everyone's a citizen of Rome and stuff like that. So he's like the first citizen. That's what princeps means. He's first citizen. And he becomes the first Roman emperor. And from there, it just becomes the de facto monarchy, obviously. And the first 5 rulers of Rome are all from the Julio-Claudians, and that's because those were the 2 families, right? Julius Caesar, Claudius is a future emperor. So that's the dynasty, the first 5. And it is just classic Rome. Like, it really is. It's the start of the empire, and out of the 5, which was from the year, I think it was like the year, I can't even see. It's too low resolution. I can't even see it. I think it's like the year 44 or something. Yeah, I feel like Nero went to the year 44. But it is Augustus, who's just the GOAT. Like, if you were to rank Roman emperors, Augustus has to be top 3. And he's the first one. Like, he's just so good. I guess that's how you build a dynasty, right? Like, you just have to have a really good guy going first. So Augustus, he's the GOAT, right? Like, he's so good. Rules for a while. I think he dies in his 60s, something like that. After him is his adopted nephew. So same kind of thing that Caesar did. Because none of the first 5, even, it's not until the 9th Roman Emperor, Vespasian, where a son succeeds. First time. Because they would just adopt, right? And they didn't have, someone to succeed, which actually was probably a good thing. So he adopts Tiberius, who is his nephew. And Tiberius, he's okay. He's fine. He's not as good as his uncle, right? But he's fine. He keeps things together. He's probably best remembered for, in the final 10 years, or like 8 or something like that, of his rule. He retires because, he's old. He's going to retire, sure. and he retires to this island off the coast of Italy and like diddles kids like that. Like that's kind of what he's remembered for now. We're like, oh, like the pedophile emperor, right? So crazy way to end his rule by just like retire, literally going to an island. Like, you know what I'm referencing, right? Like, then his nephew was going to succeed him, Germanicus. But Germanicus dies, and everyone thinks that Germanicus would have been fucking awesome. You might be like, why is his name Germanicus, right? Germanicus. That's because he conquered a lot of Germany. Not actually like much of what is modern day Germany, but like, I guess it'd be like South Germany. So he's known as Germanicus. His son would be brought on these trips to Germany, right? So they would dress his little boy up in mini military outfits. So they called him Little Boots, right? All the soldiers, they called him Little Boots. It was like his fun nickname. His real name was Gaius, which is actually like, don't quote me on this. Don't quote me on any of this. I'm not a historian. I've just read some shit. I believe that every letter of the alphabet has only one name. Pretty much. It's like almost like that. Because everyone whose names start with G is Gaius. Everyone who starts with J is Julius. Everyone who starts with, I don't know, it's like, I need the list in front of me, but it's like the same names over and over and over because I feel like there's only one name per letter. Then when you conquer Germany, okay, now we call you Germanicus. You conquer, I don't know, what's another example? Fuck. There's other examples. Africanus. I forget the guy who, Scipio Africanus. Scipio conquers Africa, like Tripoli and stuff like that. He conquers Northern Africa. They call him Scipio Africanus, right? I feel like was Julius Caesar known as like Gallus or something? Gallicanus? I don't know. Maybe it was. But Little Boots. So his name is Gaius. Gaius Germanicus Julius Caesar, something like that. But they call him Little Boots. Little Boots in Latin is Caligula. Now do you know who I'm talking about? So Caligula is the mad emperor. He was the third emperor of Rome. What would he be? Like the great nephew of Augustus, something like that. He is given ultimate power at the age, I believe, of 24, 23, 24, it's early 20s. He's given ultimate power, and he does what anyone, well, no, not anyone, but I don't know, certain people, if they were given ultimate power, would do this. Caligula is known as like the mad emperor of Rome. There's a couple more, but he's kind of like the OG. He is actually the inspiration for Joffrey of Game of Thrones, who, I'm a huge fan of Joffrey. Joffrey is so fucking awesome. He's so funny. He's out of pocket. I don't know, he's like the biggest sadist, and he's just crazy. Anytime Joffrey is on screen in Game of Thrones or in the books, you gotta lock in because he's gonna do some out of pocket shit, right? And that's the best part of, like, what's better in a character than that? And he's based off Caligula. If you look at a picture of the actor that chose to portray Joffrey and what Caligula was supposed to look like, they're very, very similar. Like, you could tell when casting, they're like, this guy kind of looks like Caligula. Ironically, in the book, George R.R. Martin did not write him to look like Caligula. Like, he didn't. He's much more handsome. He's got long hair. Like, he's kind of like a Prince Charming type. When in the show, they actually made him look more like Caligula. Caligula was best known for, he would, I think it was him who would randomly fire arrows into the crowd, like at the Colosseum wasn't built yet, but like the original Colosseum, he would just like shoot arrows at the crowd. He would stand on stuff and just throw money into the streets, like causing brawls. He would throw money into the streets, like hit people with money, throw money down at people. He would threaten, like he would just like burst out laughing at dinner, and they're like, "Sire, what's so funny? Like, amuse us with the joke." And he's like, "Oh, I'm just thinking about how I could just like kill you guys. Like, I could just, point my finger and they would just kill you. Like, that's, my guards would kill you. That's awesome." Like, he was just crazy. Like, he was what happens when a psychopath sadist is given ultimate power, right? One thing that people attribute to him, two things that people attribute to him. Number one, that he tried to make his horse a senator. I believe that he was just joking. You know how hard it is to convey sarcasm over text sometimes? I think that's what happened. I think he said he was making fun of his senators and was like, oh, I might as well make my horse a senator. And then they wrote that down, and now we think that he actually did. I think he was being sarcastic, right? Like, I don't think he actually wanted to make his horse a senator. It plays into him being crazy and everything, but the other one is how I think he was fighting in northern France, and he told all his because he was of course he was a terrible army general. Of course this kid was a terrible army general. And he told all his soldiers to start picking up seashells. Like, everyone stop, pick up seashells. This might have happened, but there's like an alternate translation where it could have been them setting up camp or like setting up fires and stuff like that. So that's another one where I'm like, I feel like we're kind of just making him sound crazier than he is. But anyway, he was a sadist. He was a psychopath. He was given ultimate power. We know all that. Other stuff they've tried to attach onto him, I'm not sure. Next up, so Caligula lasted 4 years. Augustus was a long reign. Tiberius was another like fairly long reign. He was already kind of old when he was retired for a while too. Caligula was 4 years. Then his guards killed him. He was walking in a hallway and his guards fucking killed him. The palace goes crazy. Shit gets wild, and Claudius, I can't remember his name. I was going to say Caligula. Claudius hides behind a curtain. Claudius is Germanicus's brother, so Caligula's uncle. And they find him behind a curtain, and they say, "You are now emperor." Like, they bow to him. They're like, "You're emperor." So Claudius is the next emperor. He's emperor for a little bit, and he's probably number 2 out of the. We got the goat, we got the pedophile, we got the sadist, and now we've got just like another like good ruler. Like, I think Claudius is like pretty good, and there's not too much drama. I think the only drama really, there's some obviously, but I think the only like one that's popping out to me right now is he was almost definitely poisoned to die. Like, he was old, but he probably was poisoned. I think by mushrooms. I think like, poisonous mushrooms is the lore. Maybe that was Augustus though, because there's also rumors that Augustus was poisoned. I don't think so. He wouldn't do that. He's too good. So Claudius dies. And then next up, and let me get the comparison. So he adopts his so Caligula's sister, her daughter, or sorry, her son. So that would be Claudius's. Oh, and then so Nero, and then he marries Claudius's, so simultaneously his son-in-law and his like great nephew, I think. And that's Nero. You might have heard of Nero as well, because he is crazy emperor number 2. They've got 2 of 5 in the Julio-Claudian dynasty. 2 of 5 for crazy, and that's why I'm saying it's just like it's OG Rome. Like, we get 2 bad emperors out of 5. And then one of them's the goat, one of them's kind of just normal, the last is a pedophile. Like, can shit get any better than this? And Nero is he's fiddling with his harp when Rome burns. That's probably what he's best known for. He's also thought to have started the burning to clear out a section to build his new temple. He built a colossus of himself, right next to where the Colosseum now is. So Nero's Colossus was built next to his brand new palace that he built, and then the Colosseum was built a handful of emperors later. Not even too long, actually. I think it was like relatively later, a handful of years later. The Colosseum is built, and that's why they call it the Colosseum. The Colosseum because of the Colossus of Nero. Now, the Colossus of Nero, I don't believe has ever been found. Like, it was completely destroyed. But yeah, that's why we call it the Colosseum. The Romans would have just called it the amphitheater, but we call it the Colosseum because of the Colossus of Nero. I think that's how it is. Wait, why would we call it the Colossus, the Colosseum, if we never saw the Colossus? Anyway, Nero, assassin. This is chilling. Okay, this is fucking awesome. Nero is having a dinner because at this point there were two candidates to become emperor. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but there were two. What was his name? Britannicus? Was it Britannicus? I want to say Britannicus. I'm sorry if that's wrong. By the way, you can correct anything I'm saying in the comments because I would love to learn. Like if I say something that's wrong, tell me because I'd love to learn what's real. I think his name was Britannicus. Britannicus and Nero were the same age, and they both had like an equal claim to be the next emperor because obviously it's not directly hereditary. Never has it been a father to a son. It's always adoption of like a nephew or a great nephew or something, right? Like it's always so there were two guys with equal claim, Britannicus, I think, and Nero. And one day at dinner, about a year before Claudius dies, the two of them are at dinner, and it's a double date. And Britannicus is eating, and then he just starts choking to death. And Nero just just watches him choke. And Britannicus is, I don't know if it's a girl, someone starts freaking out, like, oh my God, help him. And Nero's just like, and that's it. Like that, like chilling, bro. And I think Nero's girl is right here, and she's also just like, eat her food, doesn't give a shit. And then later they're like, yeah, like he just choked. And I don't know, that's just amazing. That is drama, and I love it. That's Rome. Let's fucking go, dude. That's history. That shit happened for real. Nero ends up becoming an enemy of the state. No, what do they call it? Enemy of the state. That's fucking America. What's the term? Enemy of the Senate. It might be a enemy of the Senate, something like that. I can't remember what it's called. But he has to flee, and he flees to one of his other palaces, and then they're converging on him, and then he says, what's the line? It's like, and an artist dies in me. It's like the direct quote. But it could also be translated as like, and the world has lost a great artist or something. And then he kills himself. Why did he say that? Because he was the musician emperor. We already got the fucking bad guy and the goat and the pedophile, the old man. We need a musician. We need a Roman emperor who's fucking shredded it. And that's like literally what Nero would do. Nero would do plays where he was the only actor, and he just, I can't believe this is real, dude. He was like the only actor. He would go up, everyone would have to clap forever, oh my God, so good, right? And he would play music. He was just the emperor. He was the musician emperor, which is like, that's amazing. I can't believe that's real. And he would actually kill his mom, who like helped get him onto the throne. Like she killed people she poisoned Claudius to like get Nero on the throne. And he would kill her by putting her on a pleasure yacht and then blowing it up. And then when she was in the water, another woman was like, I'm Agrippina, like, save me. And then they just start stabbing her. And then Agrippina's like, okay. And she swims to shore, goes back home for some reason, and then they kill her in her house. She almost got away. And she's got some hard death line as well, like, fuck my son or something, I can't remember. So yeah, that's Nero. So that is the Julio-Claudian dynasty. After Nero, there would be 4 emperors in 1 year until Vespasian gets on the throne. That's the Flavian dynasty. So Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. That's when the Colosseum was being built. And then after them, it goes to Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antonia Pius, and Marcus Aurelius, who are the 5 good emperors. Nerva was not that good, though. He kind of just gets pushed in there because he's not a Flavian, and then the next 4 were so good. So he's like, 5. And there you go. That is Roman history. But the Julio-Claudians, I mean, they just were the drama kings. 2 out of 5 were crazy, and one of those was a musician. Like, I don't know. They're just the goats. It's so much fun, and yeah, I just talked about them for like a long time. Thanks for watching, everybody. I just hit the hour mark, so we'll end it there. That was another episode of History with Salty B, and can't wait for the next one. I will talk about more parts in European history that I find interesting, and talk about more books that I've read, and show you more hauls. And thank you so much for stopping by. I had a great time with you, and I'm gonna see Quinn in like 2 hours, so I'm hyped for that too. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm like, hey, what's up? Goodbye.